Normal service resumed for round 7 of the National Saloon Cup at Brands Hatch, at least as far as Honda is concerned. Mark Lemmer on pole, Simon Harrison quicker away from second on the grid. Snetterton winner Danny Eves in third place on the grid in his Peugeot, carrying 35 kilos of success ballast for having won. Tony Räikkönen, who we ride with now, in 6th position, his teammate who started 5th with 25 kilos added to the car because of the success of the Peugeot's last time out. Number 7 there, Rick Kramer, being spun round by number 3, Barry Barnes. Kramer started in 7th place, Barnes in 13th, so I'm not quite sure whether Kramer's been going backwards or Barnes going forwards. Perhaps a combination of the two is more likely. Heading out onto the Grand Prix circuit, Simon Harrison leads from Mark Lemmer. Honda Integra R's 1st and 2nd. Dan Eves in 3rd place for Peugeot. In 4th place, right behind him, the red car with the blue stripe is being driven this weekend by Stephen Day. Roger Myrne is not fit to drive the car. Behind him, Stuart Clark and Tony Räikkönen, and Stephen Day getting right into the groove in the Honda. Dives past Dan Eves as they go through Westfield. Tony Räikkönen now trying to put the move on Stuart Clark, and he does. Peugeot's now running nose to tail, 4th and 5th through the Dingledale chicane. Aviating over the curbs, the green car there, the Proton Coupe of Richard Coen-Grandidier. Kermit to his friends. Harrison and Lemmer then. Honda in 3rd place with Stephen Day, then the 2 Peugeots, then Stuart Clark. Right behind them, MGF driver Matt Kelly in the turquoise BMW. Oh dear! And Coen-Grandidier discovering that the best way is high, wide and handsome through Clark Curve as opposed to high, wide and sideways. Well, Honda's 1st, 2nd and 3rd, certainly the ballast that's been added to the Peugeots has robbed them of some of their Snetterton performance. Of course, if they don't perform so well here, then they will lose that. Battle between the 2 Honda Civics. Kevin Hicks up the inside of Dave Allen, passes him as they follow Barry Barnes in the Silver Escort. There is the Snetterton winner, Dan Eves. Tony Räikkönen behind him. Roger Myrne's Norwegian colours on the car of Simon Day. We ride though with race leader Simon Harrison. Down Pilgrim's Drop. This is where Johnny Herbert had his monster Formula 3000 accident. Up Hawthorne Hill into Hawthorne Bend, named after Britain's first Formula 1 world champion Mike Hawthorne. Derek Minter Straight, and then into Westfield. Another challenging corner on this Grand Prix loop, plunging down into Dingledale and up, approaching the blind attack into the Dingledale chicane. Over the curbs they go, really flying them in there. Oh, the Peugeot aviating superbly, and a great move into Stirling's. Down the inside went Mark Lemmer, very impressive move, got Simon Harrison dead to rights there. Harrison had to get out of the throttle, he's lost momentum now to Stephen Day. Day goes by him into 2nd. And a little gesticulation there from Simon Harrison, oh dear, or something, having lost those 2 places. Now he's under attack from Dan Eves. Eves goes down the inside, his car heavier than it was, so slower to accelerate and harder on the brakes. Simon Harrison manages to hold him off. Here comes new race leader Lemmer, then Day, then Harrison, then Eves, then Räikkönen. Stuart Clark still right on the tail of the 2nd of the Peugeot 306s. Here come the Hondas now. The 2 Civics still squabbling. This time they've got Rick Kramer behind them. Rick Kramer doesn't like staying behind them though, it would seem. Very close indeed to the tail of Dave Allen. As the lead quintet, sextet I suppose, in fairness to Stuart Clark, head out onto the Grand Prix circuit. And here comes Dave Allen. Down the inside goes Rick Kramer, recovering from his 1st lap spin at Druids. Picks up another spot. Lemmer, Day, Harrison starting to stretch their lead now. Dan Eves is beginning to lose touch a little with Simon Harrison. A lap ago, heading down into the final turn at Brands Hatch, he was right with the yellow and black Honda. Flying over the curbs through the Dingledale chicane, trying to close in on Harrison. Räikkönen is starting to shake off Stuart Clark fractionally. But Mark Lemmer and Stephen Day in their Hondas, making this a 2-man battle for the lead. Everyone else is just fighting for position now. Lemmer starting to leave Day behind him. Harrison again coming under pressure from Eves. Well, Dan Eves is going to have to be a lot closer than that lap behind Simon Harrison as they come out of Clark Curve and onto the Brabham Straight. Otherwise, he'll have no chance at all about breaking him. Riding behind that battle with Tony Roukonen. Finn piling on the power, down Graham Hill and into Graham Hill Bend. Running wide over the curbing. Roukonen in the Peugeot. Oh, a mistake there as he went into Surtees, got well offline onto the loose stuff. Lost all power there, really bogged the engine down, and as a result, having a good run through behind him, Stuart Clark goes ahead into 5th position. Well, not too often you get an onboard shot there like that of a driver making a fairly rudimentary driving error, but it does happen, of course. If you're not inch perfect on your line, you start to run out of road. There isn't really any margin for error at all in any form of racing. Here again we've got Rick Kramer working his way past the second of the Hondas. That's Kevin Hicks, who's pushing down into 10th place. So Rick Kramer moves up to 9th. There is Matt Kelly, and the BMW driver being harassed from behind by Richard Mines. They are 7th and 8th. And here is Roukonen now trying to get back his 5th place. Let's ride with him. Stuart Clark stays down, stays down, stays down, and Tony Roukonen just stays down. Those 2 seconds later, goes down the inside very, very deep on the brakes, but there is room on the exit of paddock if you're brave enough to take a place going in too fast and somehow hold it together on the exit. Managed to do so without testing the strength of the gravel traps. So Tony Roukonen back up to 5th. Stuart Clark's tenure of that position not particularly long. Matt Kelly then racing regularly in the MGF Championship. He's in 7th. This is the battle between Paul Booth in the blue Astra and Nick James in the white Honda for last place on the racetrack. And that is now proudly held by Paul Booth. Mark Lemmer really starting to ease away now. 2.5 seconds ahead of Stephen Day in an outwardly identical Honda Integra R. Identical bar the paint scheme, of course. Simon Harrison hops the curbs in 3rd. And if anything, he's closing on Stephen Day more than Day is closing on Mark Lemmer. But the trio are really leagues away now from the Peugeots. Richard Mines not giving up this battle with Matt Kelly. They've been 7th and 8th right from the start, just about. And so they are. Mines goes down the inside into paddock and takes the place, runs wide. Kelly with the rear-wheel drive machine. The only rear driver in the field, comes up the inside into Druids and forces his nose inside. Mines comes down to try and take the place away. Lemmer leading across the line and increasing his gap now, the better part of 2 seconds ahead of Stephen Day. Day similarly approaching the 2-second margin ahead of Simon Harrison. But Harrison nearly 4 seconds ahead of Daniel Eves now. Here is Eves and Roukonen. Eves ahead, Roukonen as we ride with him up to Druids. Nice late turn in, clips the curb on the apex. A long way round the 180-degree corner to get full power on down the hill. Chasing Danny Eves. Roukonen unable to close. This is where he made his mistake earlier, staying out wide on the turn into Surtees just a little too long. No mistake this time though. No mistakes either for Mark Lemmer. Converted his pole position into an early lead in this race and has not looked back since. Stephen Day, he and Simon Harrison swapping places. Day now in 2nd place, Harrison in 3rd. No doubting Mark Lemmer's potential here at Brands Hatch. Fastest man in practice and the fastest man in the race. Tony Roukonen really thumping the curbs for the final time through Dingle Dell into Stirling's. The leader now out of Clark Curve and onto the Brabham Straight for the final time. The checkered flag awaits. Mark Lemmer will take victory on the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. And 2.5 seconds behind Stephen Day in second place. Simon Harrison third, ahead of Daniel Eves fourth, and our man here, Tony Roukonen, in fifth spot. Stuart Clark, the blue and white machine, taking sixth. So Hondas 1, 2, 3. And Peugeot 4 and 5. The BMW of Matt Kelly holds on to 7th place, a battle all the way to the line with Richard Maines. And the Honda running him close, took the lead once, but couldn't quite hold on to it. Well, from left to right, third Simon Harrison, second Stephen Day, and on the right-hand side of the picture, the winner of the race, Mark Lemmer. So the three Honda drivers, not content with their trophies, they want a kiss as well. Yeah, that's greedy for you. Let's hear now from our winner.
At the start, it was a bit nip and tuck. Simon's a very, very tough competitor, and I've raced against Stephen Day for many years. But Simon got away very well from the outside of the front row. Brands is one of the few places that you can do that because of the sloping grid, and I was a bit shocked to see him get away.
Important points for Mark Lemmer, the race winner, and indeed for Simon Harrison in third place, who retains his championship lead as Lemmer jumps into second at the expense of the absent Roger Mearn.